The fastest things to lock up carbon are the floating plants. They clean up the water. We can spend multi-millions of dollars worth on new sewage plants, or we could incorporate all these sorts of things into our wetland plantings, and this stuff would take out monstrous amounts of nitrogen and all the other stuff. My name is Jeff McCauley. We're in Piha, West Auckland, at my nursery. I grow native plants, mainly specialising in odd bods and threatened species, not just to supply to the everyday people, but for incorporating into projects of restoring land and on a holistic and ecological level. I grow around about 500 to 600 species. I suppose you could say we, because the cat's here as well. He does help sometimes. The intention is to at least hold things on long enough in here that they're not going kaput. I've got plants here in the nursery which have gone extinct in the wild, either as a species or as a type specimen, which is really important for research purposes. Adder's tongue fern, or Ophioglossom petiolatum. Many of the weedy things I have on my tables I can't just throw out because I've got things like that coming up in it. When there's only 2 or so of them left in the country that we know of, how can you throw the bloody things out when you find them coming up? People just don't have any idea on what we are losing. We just don't support conservation adequately in this country. We don't think it's an issue. 46% of the forests have been burnt down before the Europeans got to this country. We removed 95% of what was remaining. We've introduced over 40,000 exotic species of plants, yet alone all of the bugs and animals and whatnot. And people do tend to think that our grassy green hills is what's supposed to be, but they don't understand the colours and the textures and all that sort of stuff that used to be there. Going down through the South Island, you're supposed to see all these amazing natural places and so on, but nothing's pristine. There's always weeds, there's always pests, there's always something. And a lot of the time when we're looking at the native bush, like around here in the Waitaks, I mean, very little of it is virgin. We're looking at what we've created as a result of what we've done. The fact is, we've done so much to the wild that so many things no longer can reproduce, they can't distribute anymore. And a lot of the ecological requirements for these plants no longer exist. So we have to intervene and artificially put them back in as best to the natural way as possible. Otherwise, we're not going to see these things recover. The plants aren't magic. No little magic wands. Needs to be supported more because people aren't going to be able to appreciate what there is and become familiar with something if they're not going to be able to see it for a start. And people get pretty excited when they see that detail, and then they go out for a walk for themselves, and then they come back so proud. And it's like, oh, I went in the bush and I saw those things that you showed me last time, and there were so many of them at the tracks. And it's like, it's an entirely different world. I mean, people refer to being in the 5th dimension, and people said it to me, and it's like, well, I'm here with you guys, you know. But then I thought to myself one day, I am on a completely different planet from most people in the world, because most people have that kids colouring in book vision, and not necessarily at their own fault, but when you're seeing the world of all the detail, you're seeing all these things that don't exist to people, and that literally does make it visually an entirely separate planet. It's a bizarre way of thinking of it, but it is true.
Art in general contributes a lot of waste to the environment, so I was really conscious that I didn't want to do that. Art has so much power to be able to give a message or give a meaning to people. There literally is no other more important topic at the moment.